What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update, including the price of gas, which we're going to talk about in this video. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. The Senate officially bans Russian oil and Russian gas, which now kind of expands on the executive order that President Biden just did. And we're going to be talking about multiple different stimulus checks that are in the works that could put money in your pockets for millions of people. We'll be talking about that and possibly hearing from a Democratic representative on this and the price of gas here because of everything going on here. Let's jump right in. Yeah, so yesterday the Senate officially passed the Russian oil ban. This expands on just the presidential executive order. So now Congress has officially passed it. And you can see the vote. You don't see this very often. But the vote in the Senate passed 100-0. All 100 senators voting to ban oil imports from Russia and to limit trade from Russia. 100-0. That is really rare to see that in the Senate with all Republicans and all Democrats agreeing. Whew. Yeah, you don't see that very often. And you could see here, they passed this yesterday. It's a whole package to end normal trade relations with Russia and the country of Belarus and codify the administration's ban on Russian oil imports. This actually took weeks of negotiation that had stalled after the House of Representatives passed it because Republicans wanted several things here in the negotiations that changed. But you can see here, ultimately, they ended up passing it 100-0 on two bills. The first ends permanent normal trade relations with Russia and Belarus. The bill also reauthorized sanctions that targets human rights violations and corruption with penalties like visa bans or asset freezes. The second bill, which also passed 100-0, codifies the Biden administration's ban on Russian oil imports. Because the Senate made changes to both bills, they have to go back to the House. And the House passed it as well just a few hours later after the Senate. So they went back to the House and the House passed it as well. The House passed the bill 420-3. The three people that voted no, surprisingly or not surprisingly, Republican Representatives Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Thomas Massey were the only lawmakers to vote against the measure. So literally all Republicans from the Senate and from the House all voted yes, except for these three, who really get a lot of criticism, even from their own Republican Party. It'll really be interesting to see if they get reelected in the House this year, because they're just getting a lot of criticism, even from their own party. Even Mitch McConnell really criticized them here lately. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the reelection campaign this year. But I mean, how do you defend Russia? I don't know. Do they want us to continue buying oil from Russia? I don't know. I don't get it. You let me know your thoughts in the comments. But also, you could see here, oil is on the decline. Price of oil, which affects the price of gas. You can see here, U.S. oil prices. It's really oil prices in general around the world. Because remember, it's not just U.S. oil prices. Oil prices around the world are falling below $100 a barrel as the IEA, which is the International Energy Agency says it will release 120 million barrels from its oil reserve. This is also as the Biden administration and the US says that they're going to release 1 million barrels per day from their reserves for the next 180 days. This has caused more supply to enter the markets and cause the price of oil to go down. So this is kind of offsetting the price of oil. Remember, the price of oil is global here. Price of oil is global. So this is what the president and also some international agencies and countries around the world are trying to offset the war in Russia as well. You can see here the price of oil has come down significantly. Remember the high here, WTI crude, the high was 135-ish. And the high of Brent crude was around 140. So we're down about 40%. 40% here from the highs. So WTI crude's at 96 right now. Brent crude is at 101. So both are down around 40% from the high. 40% from the high. Disregard these green graphs and red graphs because that's always like what has happened like in the last like hour or so like that. That's a little confusing for people. So just look at this number here because and just my commentary will kind of lead you guys on to what's actually happening. Um, but and really the gas prices here, you can see national gas prices averages. This is what really irks me and what irks a lot of people here is the price of gas just it makes me so mad, and I'm sure it makes a lot of you guys so mad too. The price of gas is falling 1 cent per day. 1 cent per day when it's down 40%. Gas should be down 40%. You can see here in the last week it's fallen 7 cents, 1 cent per day. It's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. And if you remember when oil was going up, it was going up 10 cents per day. It was going up 70 cents in a week. And now it's going down 7 cents in a week. It's going down 10 times slower. And look, diesel's not even going down. It's literally at 507. It's literally staying the same. And why is diesel not going down? Diesel, even if you don't buy diesel, it really greatly affects us because that is how all of our goods and all of our food get to the grocery store. All that is built into the price. And this is affecting all of our inflation. And this is where you see here why are gas prices still high even after crude oil prices come down? Energy CEOs, oil company CEOs, were grilled at a House hearing here yesterday and the day before. And BP executives are saying it's not necessarily an instantaneous market. Yeah, so literally these massive billionaire oil companies tried to give every excuse they can at this at this hearing here. You can see here Yahoo News. Oil companies say that they're not gouging drivers, even though they're making billions and billions and billions of dollars more than they've ever made before. And you can see here, Americans are bracing for higher gas prices, especially those who don't have the luxury of working from home. And these gas company CEOs and executives that make millions of dollars personally themselves, they get bonuses alone of millions of dollars. And some of these guys are worth billions themselves. They literally tried to blame every possible thing they could have. They tried to blame the small little guys, the gas station owners. If you ever have known like a guy who owned one single gas station, they're not rich by any means. I've known a few guys that have owned like one single gas station and stuff. In fact, when I used to own my limo and bus company back in the day, there was a guy who owned a gas station down the street, and he owned it for years and years and years. And this guy was not rich by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, he had like a 30-year-old car. And he used to tell me that, in fact, when anybody went to put in a credit card at the gas pump, because of the fees, he almost didn't make any money at the gas pump because of the fees. And he hated when people paid with a credit card. And this guy really didn't make hardly any money, and you could just tell, right? He surely wasn't living it up or anything like that. Now it's different if you're talking about some multi millionaire that has 500 gas stations and he owns something like that, right? Totally different story. But if you ever known somebody who owned like one single gas station, it's their job. They're not like living it up. Of course, BP, Shell, Exxon, they tried to blame everybody but themselves. But the reality of it is, BP, Shell, Exxon, all these companies, they're the ones making billions of dollars, not the mom and pop that owns one gas station, and not every other single factor that they could come up with. They wanted to blame everybody else, even though they're making record profits of billions and billions and billions of dollars. So that was this, it's not our fault. It's literally every excuse you could try to come up with. And this is why, that's because they're starting to feel the heat, as Congress wants to tax them. In fact, Bernie Sanders actually has a new proposal. I don't think this is going to go through, but you can see here Bernie Sanders wants a 95% tax on big corporations' pandemic era profits to bring down rising prices. And what this proposal would do is it would go to companies that have excess billions of dollars of profits above their normal profits, and would be considered price gouging corporations above their normal profits in particular cases like this one. Now, again, I don't think that this particular bill is, or even proposal, is going to pass. I don't think Bernie Sanders thinks that this is going to pass as well. But it's still an interesting idea, because when you look at what these gas companies are doing, this is what they're getting away with. And I think that a lot of people are getting fed up enough to see that oil is coming down 40%, and yet the price of gas is coming down 1 cent per day on average. It's really kind of sick. And of course, it's not the oil company's fault. Even though they're making hundreds of billions of dollars, it's not their fault. Everybody else's fault but them. Meanwhile, we have multiple different states and Congress trying to figure out how to put money in your pockets. Here's some of the latest states just in the last few days that have come up with new plans for stimulus checks. Check this out. The state of Illinois, just a few days ago, the Illinois Democrats have proposed a statewide stimulus check and a tax rebate as well. Check this out. Democrats in the Illinois Senate proposed a staggering $1.8 billion in tax cuts late that would include stimulus checks for almost all residents. As inflation rises, local governments are looking at ways to get money in the hands of taxpayers. And literally by the week, we're seeing more and more states do this, including most major states as well, large states. The Senate stimulus plan seemed to surprise the governor and the Illinois House. The governor office wasn't even briefed on the bill, while the House Speaker Chris Welsh got a phone call just 30 minutes before the press conference. Of course, Democrats are proposing this, and state Republicans are saying that this is nothing more than an election time stunt. Who really cares? All that matters is we get money to the people. The proposed stimulus checks would be in the mailbox by September, hopefully sooner than that. Funding would largely come from the $8.1 billion federal pandemic relief package that Illinois recovered last year, or I'm sorry, received last year, as well as the state tax revenue surplus. Remember, each state received a lot of money near the end of the last year, middle last year, end of last year is when most states got it. And now that it's the new year, most states are now saying we have to vote on this and send it out here in 2022. So the proposal here is most taxpayers will receive $100 per person and $50 per child in their household. And property owners would get $300 in property tax relief checks. And grocery tax would be suspended in 6 months, for 6 months, alongside a suspension of gas tax increases. So $100 per person check. So if you're two adults, that's $200. $50 per child in your household. So if you have two children per se, that could be an extra $100. So maybe if you're two adults, two children, that could be $300. If you're a property owner, you could get another $300. That could be a total of $600 if you're two adults, two children, and a property owner. Grocery taxes would be suspended for 6 months alongside a suspension of gas taxes increases, and the state would also freeze taxes on school supplies for 10 days in August. Now, this is not passed yet. I will keep you updated. Next up, the state of New York, also considering similar things. State of New York proposing $250, they say gas checks, but it's really a stimulus check. You don't have to use it on gas. But this is what a lot of states are saying. It's because of the high price of gas, because of the high price of inflation. So New York as well, considering $250 stimulus checks for New York residents. You could see here Senator Elijah Reichlen Melnick, say that 10 times fast, a Democrat, is proposing to give all current state residents who have registered a vehicle in New York State during the past 2 years a $250 check through the State Energy Research and Development Authority, saying, quote, with gas prices hitting record highs almost every week, it's crucial that New York State takes whatever action we can to help people who are getting squeezed at the pump. Now, some states are considering doing it with people who have registered vehicles, and then they're also sometimes changing it and going towards just giving it to people who make under $75,000 the old way. So sometimes they're changing their considerations on this. I'll keep you up to date on this. It doesn't. Sometimes they're going back and forth on these proposals on how they're going to do it. So this would be a $250 check per person. Or in this case, possibly per vehicle. So if you have two vehicles, it could be $500. And also, New York is considering property tax rebates that could go through as well for households. So I will keep you up to date on that as well, depending on if they can get this passed. Again, this is up for consideration here as well, literally just within the last few days. The state of California, the Governor Gavin Newsom, sent out stimulus checks last year for $600 and an additional $500 for $1,100 total if you had children, for everybody that made under $75,000 and filed a state income tax return. This year, they're currently proposing $400 stimulus checks for people that have registered cars, or if for two adults, could potentially get $800 for gas. So Californians who own cars could get $800 from the state to help offset record high gas prices. So a mom and a dad who, live together could potentially get two $400 checks for a total of $800, or grandma and grandpa could get $800, $400 each in the state of California. There's a possibility there could be a stimulus check after this, depending on how much of the budget they use. And again, this one's not passed either, But California is almost assuredly going to have something pass. It just depends on which route they want to go. And also, Maine has upped their stimulus check proposals from 500 to 750 and now to 850, and says that their first $850 stimulus checks could go out as early as the beginning of June, which is about a month and a half away. $850 per person, so a total of $1,700 for married couples per person. 850 per person, $1,700 total. That's a lot of dough. That's a lot of dough just for a state stimulus check. That's a lot for a state stimulus check, and you could be getting this here just in a matter of weeks. Not passed yet, but a lot of support in Maine for this. So there's just a couple states. So this is what we're gonna have another video here where I'm gonna go through some more states here as well, because literally by the day we have more and more states coming up with these, and a lot of every state got billions of dollars. Every state has money like this, and uh, most states are up for reelection with their governors and their state legislatures as well, and the House and the Senate. Everybody in the House, U.S. House of Representatives, is up for reelection as well, and about 1/3 of senators are up for reelection as well. So they all kind of want to look good to their voters. So I don't know how much that factors into it, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, but I don't know. I don't know how much that factors into it or not. All that really matters is that people get help right now. And with inflation, the pandemic, and 64% of people right now are living paycheck to paycheck and are behind on their bills. So um, yeah, there's really a lot of help that is needed. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here on everything here that you need to know about on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's completely free to subscribe, and I will keep you up to date here with everything. Click here to watch my newest video next, and over here to see all the states that are giving out new money for SNAP benefits, pandemic EBT benefits, and more. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.